1. Kobe Bryant's between-the-legs dunk, 1997 dunk contest. In 1997, a teenage Kobe Bryant announced himself to the basketball world with a dunk that still feels rare today. During the slam dunk contest, Kobe executed a clean between-the-legs slam, something that wasn't as common back then as it is today. What made it special wasn't just the dunk itself, but the context. An 18-year-old rookie going toe-to-toe with NBA stars and showing fearlessness on the big stage. Kobe didn't just dunk, he performed with flair, adding a swagger that hinted at the greatness to come. The crowd exploded, and even though Kobe would go on to win 5 championships, 2 finals MVPs, and leave an unforgettable legacy, this dunk often gets forgotten. But for those who saw it live, it was a moment when the NBA world realized that Kobe wasn't just another rookie. He was destined to become a legend, and this dunk was his introduction. 2. Vince Carter's 360 windmill in-game dunk, 2000. Vince Carter is widely remembered for redefining dunking, especially in the 2000 slam dunk contest. But one of his most underrated moments came in an actual NBA game that same year. Against the Minnesota Timberwolves, Vince pulled off a 360-degree windmill dunk during live action, a move usually reserved for contests, not competitive games. The sheer audacity and smoothness of the dunk left the crowd stunned and commentators nearly speechless. Carter didn't just jump, he seemed to glide effortlessly, turning midair and hammering the ball through with force. What makes this dunk so rare is how casual Vince made it look. Most players would never attempt something that risky in a real game, but for Carter, it was just natural athleticism. This moment captured why he was nicknamed half man, half amazing. It remains one of the greatest in-game dunks ever, yet it often gets overshadowed by his Olympic dunk over Frederick Weiss. 3. Shawn Kemp's self-alley-oop in traffic. Shawn Kemp, also known as the Rain Man, Ewing was one of the most powerful dunkers of the 1990s. While most fans remember his posters on Alton Lister or Chris Gatling, one rare gem was his self-alley-oop in traffic. In the middle of a live game, Kemp casually tossed the ball off the backboard to himself, caught it mid-air, and finished with an emphatic slam, all while defenders crowded the paint. This was before self-alley-oops became somewhat popular in the NBA, which made the play even more shocking at the time. The crowd went wild, and it instantly showed Kemp's mix of creativity and power. Unlike many of his pure poster dunks, this one highlighted his basketball IQ and flair, proving he wasn't just about brute force. It remains one of the most underrated highlights of his career, a reminder that Kemp was years ahead of his time when it came to dunk creativity. 4. Derrick Rose dunking on Goran Dragic, 2009. Derrick Rose was known for his blazing speed and agility, but one of his rarest and most jaw-dropping moments came in 2009 when he completely posterized Goran Dragic. Rose, a point guard not typically known for thunderous dunks, exploded off one foot and elevated higher than anyone expected. Dragic tried to contest, but Rose met him at the rim and slammed it home with authority. What made this dunk stand out was the element of surprise. Few expected a 6-foot 3-inch guard to deliver such a vicious poster. The dunk electrified the crowd and quickly became a viral highlight, even in the early days of social media. It wasn't just about the dunk itself, but what it symbolized. Rose wasn't just a finesse guard, he was an explosive athlete who could dominate physically. Though injuries later slowed his career, this dunk remains a reminder of just how unstoppable young Derrick Rose could be. 5. Kevin Garnett's putback dunk at age 36. Kevin Garnett built his career on intensity, defense, and mid-range jumpers, but late in his career, he pulled off a dunk that shocked everyone. At age 36, when most players are slowing down, Garnett grabbed an offensive rebound and rose up for a thunderous putback dunk. The play stunned the crowd because it showed KG still had the hops and fire that defined his prime years in Minnesota and Boston. The dunk was more than just 2 points. It was a statement that even in the twilight of his career, Garnett's passion and competitiveness hadn't faded. His primal scream afterward only added to the moment, reminding everyone of his legendary energy. It's a rare highlight because most fans remember Garnett for his defense, leadership, and intensity rather than flashy dunks. This play, however, proved that even at 36, the big ticket still had the legs to shock the NBA with raw athleticism. 6. Blake Griffin's dunk on Kendrick Perkins, 2012. Blake Griffin was already known for his jaw-dropping dunks, but his poster on Kendrick Perkins in 2012 stood out as one of the most vicious of his career. Perkins, a tough interior defender, was caught in the wrong place at the wrong time when Griffin received a pass near the rim. Without hesitation, Blake exploded upward, seemed to float in the air, and threw down a thunderous one-handed slam right over Perkins. What made the dunk rare wasn't just the athleticism, but the sheer violence of it. Griffin almost threw the ball into the hoop. rather than traditionally dunking it. The entire arena erupted, commentators lost their voices, and Perkins could only shake his head afterward. This play symbolized the Lob City Clippers era, where every game felt like a highlight reel. To this day, it remains one of the most replayed posters of the 2010s, yet fans sometimes forget how shocking it was live. 7. Allen Iverson dunking on Marcus Camby, 1997. Allen Iverson wasn't known for dunking. He was famous for his killer crossover and fearless drives to the rim. That's why his dunk over 6 feet 11 inches Marcus Camby in 1997 feels so rare and unforgettable. Standing at just 6 feet tall, Iverson charged into the paint, rose with every ounce of his strength, and flushed it down on Camby, one of the NBA's elite shot blockers at the time. The crowd went crazy because no one expected AI, a player built on skill and quickness, to rise above a big man and finish with authority. The dunk symbolized everything Iverson represented: heart, fearlessness, and the refusal to back down no matter the size difference. It wasn't just 2 points, it was a statement of confidence that inspired small guards everywhere. Although Iverson's career is filled with iconic crossovers and clutch shots, this dunk stands as one of his rarest and most shocking highlights. 8. LeBron James's reverse baseline dunk over Kevin Garnett, 2008 playoffs. LeBron James has an endless list of powerful dunks, but his reverse baseline slam over Kevin Garnett during the 2008 Eastern Conference semifinals remains special. Driving baseline, LeBron elevated and twisted his body mid-air to complete a ferocious reverse dunk right over one of the greatest defenders of all time. The moment was heightened by the stakes. This was playoff basketball against the eventual champion Boston Celtics. The dunk wasn't just athletic, it was defiant. It showed LeBron could attack the rim against elite defenders and still dominate. Garnett, known for his intensity and rim protection, was left helpless as LeBron thundered it in. The crowd's reaction and the commentators' disbelief added to the electricity of the moment. While many remember LeBron for his chase-down blocks and clutch performances, this dunk stands as a rare highlight that combined power, body control, and playoff intensity in one unforgettable play. 9. Jason Richardson's off-the-glass windmill in-game dunk. Jason Richardson is remembered as one of the best dunk contest performers ever, but he also delivered spectacular dunks during live NBA games. One of his rarest highlights came when he threw the ball off the backboard to himself and finished with a thunderous windmill slam. Doing that in a dunk contest is one thing, but attempting it in an actual game required confidence and unreal athleticism. The move shocked the crowd because it wasn't common at the time to see players attempt such creative dunks in-game. Richardson not only pulled it off, but he made it look smooth and effortless. This dunk reflected his style, creativity mixed with power, and showed why he was considered one of the most underrated high flyers of his era. While Vince Carter often gets the spotlight, Richardson's off-the-glass windmill deserves to be remembered as one of the rarest in-game dunks of the 2000s. 10. Baron Davis dunking on Andrei Kirilenko, 2007 playoffs. The 2007 NBA playoffs gave us one of the greatest underdog stories when the Golden State Warriors upset the top-seeded Dallas Mavericks. But one of the most unforgettable moments came in the next round, when Baron Davis delivered a monstrous dunk on Andrei Kirilenko of the Utah Jazz. Driving into the lane, Davis exploded off 2 feet and hammered down a dunk right on Kirilenko's head. What made the moment legendary was the energy inside Oracle Arena. The crowd erupted in a way that defined the We Believe Warriors era. Davis, not always known for dunking, showed surprising power and elevation. After the slam, he even pulled up his jersey in celebration, a moment that became instantly iconic. Though the Warriors lost the series, this dunk remains one of the most replayed highlights in playoff history, a symbol of passion, belief, and the magic of that unforgettable 2007 Warriors team. 11. Paul George's 360 windmill in-game, 2014. Paul George delivered one of the cleanest in-game dunks ever when he pulled off a 360 windmill against the Los Angeles Clippers in 2014. Fast breaks are usually routine, but George turned this one into a highlight for the ages. With no defenders in front of him, he spun a full circle mid-air and finished with a violent windmill that sent the crowd into a frenzy. What made this dunk rare wasn't just the athleticism, but the smoothness. George looked like he was performing in a dunk contest. At that time, George was establishing himself as a two-way superstar, and this dunk put an exclamation mark on his growing stardom. Even though it happened in a regular season game, fans and analysts instantly labeled it one of the best in-game dunks of the decade. It was a perfect combination of flair, creativity, and confidence that cemented George's reputation as a high flyer. 12. DeAndre Jordan's alley-oop on Brandon Knight, 2013. Few dunks in NBA history were as disrespectful as DeAndre Jordan's alley-oop slam over Brandon Knight in 2013. During a Clippers fast break, Chris Paul lobbed the ball high toward the rim. Jordan soared, caught it mid-air, and viciously threw it down directly on top of the much smaller Knight. The impact of the dunk was so violent that it almost looked like Jordan had spiked the ball into the basket. Knight fell backward, the crowd went berserk, and the internet exploded with memes and reactions. This dunk wasn't just about power. It symbolized the height of the Lob City Clippers era, where alley-oops were a nightly occurrence. But this particular one stood out because of the mismatch and the humiliation factor. It remains one of the most replayed dunks of the 2010s, both for its raw athleticism and the unforgettable reaction it sparked across the basketball world. 13. Tracy McGrady's self-alley-oop in-game, 2002. Tracy McGrady was known for his effortless scoring ability, but in 2002, he reminded everyone that he was also an elite dunker. In a regular season game against the Toronto Raptors, McGrady shocked fans by tossing the ball off the backboard to himself and finishing with a powerful slam. This wasn't during a dunk contest, it was in live action against NBA defenders. The audacity to attempt such a move was incredible, and the fact that he pulled it off so smoothly made it unforgettable. The dunk captured McGrady's unique blend of creativity, confidence, and athleticism. While T-Mac's career is often remembered for his scoring outbursts, like his 13 points in 33 seconds, this dunk showed his underrated flair as a showman. It remains one of the rarest and most stylish in-game dunks ever, proving that McGrady was more than just a scorer, he was also an entertainer on the court. 14. Dwight Howard's Superman dunk, 2008 dunk contest. The 2008 slam dunk contest gave us one of the most creative moments in dunking history. Dwight Howard's Superman dunk. Instead of a traditional slam, Howard wore a Superman cape, ran in from half court, and leaped from well beyond the restricted area. He didn't even fully dunk the ball. Instead, he threw it down through the hoop while still flying in the air. The crowd erupted as if they had just witnessed a superhero take flight. What made this dunk so rare wasn't just the theatrics, but the power and hang time Howard displayed at his size. At 6 feet 11 inches and nearly 270 pounds, players his size weren't supposed to move like that. The dunk became an instant classic, symbolizing a time when Howard was not only the league's best center, but also its most entertaining big man. It blended athletic dominance with creativity, forever etching itself into All-Star Weekend history. 15. Ja Morant's poster on Jakob Poeltl, 2022. Ja Morant has quickly built a reputation as one of the NBA's most explosive dunkers, but his poster over Jakob Poeltl in 2022 stands out as one of his rarest highlights. Driving hard into the paint, Morant launched himself off 1 foot and soared directly into Poeltl, who stood nearly 7 feet tall. Instead of shying away, Morant went straight over him, finishing with a ferocious one-handed slam that had the crowd and commentators in disbelief. What made the dunk so special was the combination of power, fearlessness, and elevation. Morant seemed to keep rising as Poeltl braced for impact. The dunk instantly went viral, with fans comparing it to some of the greatest posters in NBA history. For a young point guard, it was a defining moment that showed he wasn't just flashy, he was fearless. It remains one of the most jaw-dropping dunks of the modern NBA era. 16. Scottie Pippen, dunking on Patrick Ewing, 1994 playoffs. The 1994 Eastern Conference semifinals gave us one of the most iconic dunks in playoff history. Scottie Pippen, playing without Michael Jordan that season, drove baseline and rose up over Patrick Ewing, one of the NBA's premier shot blockers. Pippen didn't just dunk, he hammered it down with authority, landed right in front of Ewing, and stared him down before walking over him. The Madison Square Garden crowd gasped, while Bulls fans erupted in celebration. What made this dunk so rare wasn't just the power, but the context. It was a playoff battle between rivals, and Pippen made a statement. The moment symbolized his leadership and competitiveness, proving he wasn't just Jordan's sidekick, but a star in his own right. The stare down afterward added to its legendary status, cementing it as one of the most disrespectful and unforgettable dunks in NBA history. Even decades later, this highlight still sends chills to basketball fans. 17. Tom Chambers' elevator dunk over Mark Jackson, 1989. Tom Chambers wasn't known as a flashy dunker, but in 1989, he delivered one of the most jaw-dropping dunks the league has ever seen. Driving into the lane, Chambers elevated off 1 foot and rose higher than anyone expected. Mark Jackson tried to contest, but Chambers' momentum carried him so high that his knees practically hit Jackson's chest. From there, Chambers threw down a thunderous two-handed slam that stunned both players and fans. The sheer height he reached made it look almost unreal, as if he had been lifted by an elevator. What makes this dunk so rare is the pure vertical explosion. Chambers wasn't a high-flying superstar like Dominique Wilkins or Michael Jordan, but for one moment, he soared even higher. The dunk is still replayed today as one of the most underrated posters in history, a shocking reminder that even unexpected players can deliver unforgettable highlights. 18. Julius Erving's behind-the-backboard reverse attempt, 1983. Julius Erving, known as Dr. J, revolutionized dunking with his creativity and hang time. One of his rarest moments came in 1983 against the Los Angeles Lakers, when he drove baseline and went behind the backboard midair. Most players would have been trapped, but Erving floated under the rim, twisted his body, and managed a reverse finish on the other side. Although it's often remembered as a layup rather than a full dunk, the athleticism and body control required made it legendary. The move was so ahead of its time that it looked more like something out of a video game than real life. What made it unforgettable was not just the difficulty, but the grace. Dr. J turned an impossible situation into a highlight. This play remains one of the most replayed and studied moves in basketball history, a perfect example of how Erving turned artistry into athletic dominance. 19. Shawn Marion's two-handed putback, dunk. Shawn Marion, nicknamed the Matrix, was one of the most versatile and unique players of the 2000s. While not remembered as a flashy dunker, one of his rare highlights was a thunderous two-handed putback dunk, where his head nearly reached the rim. Marion had an unusual shooting form, but when it came to rebounding and finishing, he was explosive. The play came off an offensive rebound, where Marion timed his leap perfectly, rose above defenders, and slammed it home with authority. What made the dunk rare was the sheer elevation. Marion wasn't as tall as many big men, yet he played above the rim with ease. His athleticism and timing often went underappreciated, but this dunk showcased why he was so effective throughout his career. It was a reminder that Marion didn't need to be flashy. His pure hustle and explosive finishing ability could still produce unforgettable highlights. 20. Michael Jordan's baseline reverse dunk on the Knicks, 1991. Michael Jordan's free throw line dunk is the one most people remember, but his baseline reverse slam against the New York Knicks in 1991 deserves equal recognition. In this play, Jordan drove baseline, elevated under the rim, and twisted his body for a smooth reverse finish that left defenders helpless. The dunk wasn't just athletic, it was stylish, combining creativity, control, and flair all in one motion. Madison Square Garden, often referred to as the Mecca of basketball, was stunned as Jordan once again delivered a highlight on their home floor. This dunk symbolized MJ's ability to not just score, but to entertain, turning every game into a show. It remains one of his most underrated highlights, overshadowed by his more famous dunks and clutch shots. But for fans who love artistry and grace, this reverse slam stands as one of the purest examples of Jordan's unmatched elegance in the air.